the discipline of cold mornings and the permission to be soft. Let me tell you about the moment I realized that survival mode has a sound. It's the crunch of frozen pavement under tired feet. It's the hiss of cold air biting at your skin before the sun even thinks about rising. It's the silence of a single mother walking three children to the bus stop, willing herself to keep going when every part of her body is begging for rest. I had the profound honor of sitting down with Candyce Green, a woman whose life has been a masterclass in turning the weight of the world into wings. Candyce is a single mother of three who has walked through fire and come out holding flowers. She spent years in survival mode, not by choice, but by necessity. And what she shared with me didn't just shift my perspective, it cracked me wide open. Candice is out here making the world better by teaching us that our hardest seasons don't have to harden us. They can soften us if we're brave enough to let them. And here's what Candice taught me. Those early cold mornings walking to the bus weren't just about transportation, they were about transformation. So let me ask you something. How many of you have spent years, maybe decades, waking up before the rest of the world, not because you had some romanticized morning routine, but because you had no choice? You had mouths to feed. You had bills stacking up like accusations. You had a job that didn't care if you were running on fumes. You had a family that needed you to be the strong one, the dependable one, the one who never breaks, even when you were already broken. And you did it. You showed up. You survived. But here's the question Candace helped me ask myself, and I'm asking you now. What comes after survival? What does it look like to stop just making it through and start actually living? What does it mean to take all that grit, all that resilience, all that discipline born from necessity and turn it into something that feels like freedom? That's what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about taking those cold morning walks, the ones that built our strength, and turning them into something softer, something intentional, something sacred, something ours. Because here's the truth that nobody tells you: resilience doesn't come from never feeling the cold, it comes from walking through it anyway. And then one day deciding that you deserve warmth too. Let's talk about resilience through routine. Candy shared with me how those early mornings, the ones where the air felt like it was scraping her lungs and the bus felt like it would never come, became the foundation of everything she built. Not because they were easy, not because she enjoyed them, but because they were consistent. They were hers. And in a life where so much felt chaotic and out of control, that walk became the one thing she could count on. Starting your day with intention, even when the conditions are brutal, builds something unshakable inside you. It turns survival hustle into lifelong strength. And I know some of you are sitting here thinking, I don't have time for a morning routine. I'm already drowning. But that's exactly why you need one. Not because it's trendy, not because some guru on the internet told you to, but because claiming your morning is the first act of reclaiming your life. Let me tell you about Oprah Winfrey. Yes, that Oprah. Before she was a billionaire with her name on everything, before she had her own network and her own production company, she was a little girl in rural Mississippi walking long distances to school in conditions that would make most of us turn back around. Sound familiar? Those walks taught her something that no classroom ever could. They taught her that the morning belongs to the person who claims it first. That discipline isn't something you find when life gets easy, it's something you build when life is hard. Now, Oprah wakes up at 5:30 in the morning in her Montecito home, and before she checks her phone, before she dives into emails, before she does anything for anyone else, she journals. She sets intentions. She sits with herself first. And that practice, that discipline born from those cold childhood mornings in Mississippi, built the mental clarity that turned her into a $2.5 billion empire. Oprah faced childhood trauma that would have destroyed most people. She faced racism in an industry that didn't want her. She faced the terror of potential single motherhood and the crushing weight of being the only Black woman in rooms that weren't built for her. But she adopted a non negotiable morning routine of quiet reflection and goal setting, inspired by the early life discipline she learned walking to school in the cold. And here's what I need you to hear: it wasn't the money that made her disciplined, it was the discipline that made her the money. The routine came first, the empire came second. Candice's story echoes this so powerfully. Those early cold mornings walking to the bus as a single mom, hustling for three kids, weren't just about getting them to school on time. They were about proving to herself every single day that she could do hard things, that she could start her day with intention even when the world felt impossibly heavy, that she could turn survival into strength, one frozen step at a time. And that's the first thing I want you to remember: resilience through routine. Your morning doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to be yours. It just has to be intentional. Now, let's talk about control amid chaos, because if there's one thing Candice and I bonded over deeply, it's this. When you're a Black woman, especially a single mother, especially someone who's been in survival mode for years, chaos isn't occasional. It's not something that happens to you sometimes. It's the baseline, it's the default setting of your entire existence. You wake up to chaos, you navigate chaos all day, you go to bed with chaos. And somewhere in between, you're supposed to build a life, raise children, run a business, lead a team, show up for your community, be present for your friends, and still have something left for yourself. Spoiler alert: there's never anything left for yourself unless you take it first. A consistent morning practice, no matter how simple, gives you power over your day. It reduces stress, it boosts focus, it reminds you that even if everything else is spinning wildly out of control, you can still stand still for 5 minutes and breathe. You can still choose how you show up. Let me tell you about Serena Williams. You know her as the greatest tennis player of all time: 23 Grand Slams, $340 million net worth, a living legend. But do you know what she does at 4 in the morning? She rises, she works out, she plans her day. She takes control of her day before her day takes control of her. Serena grew up in Compton, California, walking to practice in all kinds of weather: rain, heat, cold. It didn't matter. Those walks built her edge. They taught her that if she could survive the walk, she could survive the match. If she could survive Compton, she could survive anything the world threw at her. And now, as a single mother and venture capitalist running Serena Ventures, investing in over 80 diverse startups, she still wakes up before the sun. Not because she has to, she's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She could sleep in every day for the rest of her life, but she doesn't, because she knows that's where her power lives. In those quiet early hours before the world wakes up and starts making demands, she faced racism on the court. She faced devastating injuries. She faced postpartum struggles that nearly killed her. She faced the overwhelming demands of single parenthood. But she committed to early routines, even simulating tough conditions when she didn't have to foster control and energy. And the outcome? She regained peak physical form. She launched a venture fund that's uplifting Black founders across the country. She redefined what it means to be a Black woman crossing over from athletics to business. And here's what Candice taught me, and what Serena's life demonstrates: control doesn't mean everything goes your way. Control means you decide how you show up, no matter what the day throws at you. It means you claim your morning, even if it's cold, even if it's hard, even if you're exhausted. Because when you control your morning, you control your mindset. And when you control your mindset, you control your life. That's the second thing I want you to hold on to: control amid chaos. You don't need a perfect life to have a powerful morning. You just need to decide that the first hour of your day belongs to you. Not your job, not your children, not your inbox, not your obligations. You. Now let's talk about small habits and big transformation. This is where Candice's story really pierced my heart because she didn't wake up one day with everything figured out. She didn't suddenly become this woman who had her life perfectly together. She just kept walking, she just kept showing up. And those small, cold morning walks to the bus became the foundation for everything she built. Embracing early challenges fosters productivity, energy, and healthy habits that propel you forward. And I know some of you are thinking, I've been doing hard things my whole life. When do I get to stop? When do I get to rest? And I hear you, I see you. But here's the shift: you're not doing hard things to survive anymore. You're doing intentional things to thrive. There's a difference. Let me tell you about Melody Hobson. She's a Black billionaire, co CEO of Ariel Investments with a net worth of over $3 billion. She's the first Black woman to helm a major asset management firm. She's on the Starbucks board of directors. She's changing the entire face of wealth management in America. And she wakes up at 4:30 in the morning to read and strategize. Melody grew up in Chicago's South Side projects with six siblings. She faced grinding poverty. She faced being one of the very few Black women in the world of high finance. And those cold morning walks to school through the projects, they shaped her. They taught her that discipline wasn't optional, it was survival. And then one day, it became her superpower. She turned those cold morning routines into habits that promoted focus, hydration, strategic planning, and mental clarity. She grew Ariel Investments to over $20 billion in assets under management. She became Starbucks board chair. She boosted Black wealth management across the country and inspired professionals everywhere to use their mornings for breakthrough careers. And here's what Candice and Melody both know in their bones: small habits repeated consistently over time create massive transformation. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. You don't have to become a different person tomorrow. You just have to start with one thing: one glass of water when you wake up, one moment of gratitude before your feet hit the floor, one clear goal for the day. That's the third thing I want you to remember: small habits, big transformation. You don't need a dramatic change, you just need a daily commitment. So here's what I want to leave you with today. Here's the challenge I'm issuing, inspired by Candice Green and her cold morning walks that built a life of resilience, control, and transformation. This week, I want you to wake up 30 minutes earlier 3 times. I know I can already hear the groans. You're already tired. You're already doing too much. But hear me out. Brave the chill if you need to. Make it simple. Drink a glass of water. Write down one thing you're grateful for. Set one goal for the day. That's it. Just 3 times this week. Track how it builds your sense of control and resilience, because here's what I want you to feel: I want you to feel empowered and calm, like wrapping up in a warm blanket after a cold dawn walk, relaxed yet fired up, knowing that your toughest mornings aren't breaking you, they're sculpting your greatest self. Candy's taught me that survival mode doesn't have to be forever, that the same discipline that got us through the hardest seasons can carry us into the softest ones, that we don't have to choose between being strong and being soft. We can be both. We are both. So let's stop apologizing for needing rest. Let's stop feeling guilty for claiming our mornings. Let's stop waiting for permission to be soft in a world that taught us nothing but survival. Because the truth is, those cold mornings didn't break us, they built us. And now it's time to build something even better, something softer, something sacred, something ours. The world needs your strength, but it also needs your softness. It needs you rested, it needs you whole, it needs you free. So take back your mornings, take back your peace, take back your life, not someday, not when things calm down, not when you finally have time. Now start tomorrow. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Sit with yourself, breathe, set one intention, and watch how that one small act begins to shift everything. This is your invitation. This is your permission. This is your time. Welcome to your soft girl era.